Hello again. This week the students put a new flex plate in an older Chevy truck. They replaced all the tie rods and the sway bar links in a Ford truck, and there's a little more work done on the Z1R as well as the 48 Chevy. Thanks for tuning in.
Not only is this tie rod bad on this truck, but the other ones have ripped boots, so we're replacing them all. And also the sway bar links are both broken, so we'll be replacing those as well. The students are counting the rotations to get the tie rods out, so we'll put the new ones in the same number of rotations, and that'll get us set pretty close before we do the alignment. Now the new tie rod assemblies are installed. Two of the tie rod assemblies did not come with Zerk fittings, so we're going to install them ourselves. Here we're center punching before we drill into the tie rod. First he drills a pilot hole before we drill the exact size before installing the Zerk fittings. This will allow the joint to be greased so it will last longer. Now the self-tapping Zerk fitting can be installed. These sway bar links have definitely seen better days. With all the new parts installed, the wheels are torqued, and then the truck is ready for an alignment.
You may have seen this truck in the background of some of the other episodes. It's never actually been part of an episode, but it's about to be. Right now, when you're starting it, it sounds like it's skipping, where we originally thought it might be a starter issue, but it's actually a flex plate. Some of the teeth are missing off of it, so we're going to need to pull the transmission back so we can get it out and replace it with another one.
The students already have the drive shafts, the shield, and the transmission lines off. Now they're taking the torque converter bolts out. With the bell housing bolts out, they're moving the transmission back just enough to get to the flex plate.
Come on!
You can see where the teeth here don't look quite so bad on this flex plate. As we go around, you can see right there, they were starting to get chewed up. And that's why I was skipping and not starting the vehicle every time.
We're putting thread lock on the flex plate bolts as well as the torque converter bolts before installing them. Here they're rotating the flex plate so they can get all the torque converter bolts lined up. They use the same tool to hold the flex plate while they're torquing the bolts. With all of that done, the transmission and transfer case go back into position.
Is it lined up? Let me if it's lined up. Fine. Is it in?
The transmission jack can come out of the way so they can finish it up. Here Eric's taking out the rim clamps. I'll explain what they do once he's got them out. One of the tire beads has to come off before we can put it onto our car tire machine. We're using fuel line over the wheels so that we don't do any damage to it. With it mounted onto the tire machine, it makes it easier to get the inner tube out. He's carefully removing the tire so it doesn't damage my wheel.
The pieces that Eric was taking out are called rim locks. What they do is they hold extra pressure against the tire bead, against the wheel, beyond the air pressure itself, to keep it locked to the wheel much tighter. We see these a lot in dirt bikes in the rear wheels where there's constantly in dirt and gravel and there's an opportunity for the wheel to spin inside of the tire and rip the tube. And on drag bikes and cars, what they do is they'll actually drill holes in the wheel and put screws in it to hold the bead of the tire tight to the wheel. In this particular case, this bike has quite a bit of horsepower to the rear wheel, so it was believed by the original owner that putting a couple of these in there would be a good idea. In running this thing, again, with the horsepower that it does have, it's a good idea to put these in so that it doesn't wring the wheel away from the tire.
We had a bolt break off from the thermostat housing. We're going to heat it up to remove it. I'm not going to bother getting all the way around to the inside of it. I don't think that's going to be necessary. As long as we've got over half of it, I think we'll be good. Here we're painting the lifter and pushrod cover. The gasket rings for the spark plug hose go on, with the gasket for the panel, and then it's installed onto the engine. Here we're getting the starter cleaned up, get ready to paint.
I'm cleaning the paint out of the hose for the starter stud. I'm setting the plug gap to 40 thousandths.
Not much threads to be seen on the spark plugs, but we're putting a little anti-seize on them anyway.
We're taking the distributor part to clean it and paint it. Here the points plate comes out. We'll take off the vacuum advance, that's going to be replaced. So again, we can clean it better to paint it. Next time on Bulldog Builds, we'll get that test panel for the Mustang painted maroon and we'll get ready to put it onto the car itself. We'll also get that distributor pulled apart, cleaned and painted for the SEMA project, along with anything else that may come in. See you next week.